How Sullivan made over $42,000 on his first deal JVing in wholesaling real estate, and how Sullivan is absolutely killing the real estate wholesaling game. What is up? Zach in here, and in today's video, we're talking with Sullivan here, and we're going to break down how he is doing so well in wholesaling, so well in real estate investing, and how you can do the same thing in your own real estate investing and wholesaling business. What is up, Sullivan?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man, my pleasure. So let's start off from the top. Who is Sullivan Moore?
Yeah, so Sullivan is an entrepreneur. Right outside of high school, I got started buying and selling items on Facebook Marketplace, and that taught me how business worked, how you were able to buy and sell things for a profit. And I'll start with how I got started in real estate. Once I understood how business worked, I started researching online ways to make money. And I came across a few videos on how to wholesale MLS properties. And so about 2 years ago, I started doing that. And I didn't have much success with it, but what it taught me was the process on how to wholesale properties. And so while I was buying and selling these items such as campers, couches, dirt bikes, I never had any success with wholesaling. And 6 months later, I came across this guy who owned a camper, and he mentioned to me that he wanted to sell a 6-unit apartment building. And at that time, I knew how to take action. I knew how the process of wholesaling worked. I just never had an opportunity come up in front of me. So I took action, got the property under contract for, I believe, $256,000. I struggled selling it for the longest time. 45 days went by and I couldn't find a buyer. So I met this guy named Mac, and Mac is a manager for a wholesaling company in Roanoke, and he helped me find a buyer. He pushed it to his buyers list, and we sold it for a little under $300,000, or a little over $300,000, which netted us $42,000. We split that 50-50. So I collected $21,000 on my first wholesale deal. Ever since then, I just started marketing, hired 2 VAs, and yeah, that's how I got started.
Wow. How old were you on your first deal?
First deal, I was 18. I just turned 20 yesterday. So, my first deal was a little over a year ago. So about a year and 6 months.
Wow, man, that's amazing. So you made that JV deal, your first deal. And how did your second, third deal? Like, were those wholesaling deals? Like, how much were you making there? And what kind of deals?
So, once I realized that I could make money wholesaling real estate, I looked into some marketing streams and how I could source these leads for real estate, and came across one of your valuable videos, and it taught me how to SMS blast batch leads. So created an account, watched your videos on how to do everything. And, I got started. It was just me at the time. This was probably 2-3 months after my first wholesaling deal. And, I pulled a high equity absentee owner. I just said, why not spend the money I got from this? And I pulled a list of 20,000 absentee owners in Roanoke, and I skip traced it, and I started SMS blasting it. Well, at the time, I didn't realize, if you send out 1,000 messages within 30 minutes, you're going to get bombarded with phone calls. So I'm sitting there in my living room sending out 1,000 text messages, and my phone wouldn't stop ringing. And, I just thought it was crazy how the process worked and how I was able to source these leads just from text messaging. And, so the second and third deal came from SMS blasting, and then as we got better in the wholesaling field, we hired 2 VAs and they started cold calling for us. And ever since then we've stayed busy. We've been consistent. We've learned from your videos. We followed your videos. So it's all about taking action, guys. I mean, the information's in front of you. It's just, take what you want to do with it and do it. You can't you can't watch these videos and expect everything to fall in front of your face. You have to take action. Taking action is the biggest part of wholesaling real estate. And ever since I was a senior in high school, that's all I was focused on, was taking action and always thinking about different ways to make money. So, once you learn that valuable lesson, I believe opportunities will come in front of your face. But you just can't sit on your butt and expect things to come to you.
No, you got to take the action, man. I love it, man. Because I was 17, 18 years old doing exactly what you're doing. And I remember me at 20. Quite the hustler's mentality, but it's definitely worth it. Now, you've definitely gone a little different than when I was 20. Like you're starting to do some other things. Like, what are the other things you're doing in real estate that's making you a ton of money, right?
Yeah. So a few things that I got started with, after about my 10th deal in 2021, I came across this guy who was acquiring properties. He was my main buyer for these properties. And, he mentioned to me that he couldn't buy any more properties because he didn't have enough help with managing the properties and, doing the renovations. So that's when something clicked in my mind, and I thought, how can I provide value to this big investor in Roanoke? And, I told him, I said, look, I'll manage the property. I'll handle all project management with renovations. And, he took on a partnership with me. He trusted me. As a 19-year-old, we bought 6 units in October of 2021. And ever since then, we've been buying properties in the Roanoke Valley. That's one source of income that I've acquired in real estate, but a few others are Airbnb arbitrage, and I own a few mobile homes I rent out. So, I'm real big in the rental market. I believe that's how you build generational wealth, and to be financially free. Rental properties are the way. They're gonna, I just think that it's really the best path to take in real estate. But as far as getting started, wholesaling was my path because, it didn't take much money to get started. It actually, took very, very little money to get started on my very first deal. Airbnb arbitrage is another income source for me. I have 2 Airbnbs that I rent from an individual near a hospital, and the demand for travel nurses due to COVID has increased a lot. So I furnished the property, put it on Airbnb, and I cash flow roughly $2,000 a month from these 2 Airbnb arbitrages. And then, the mobiles, we earn about $1,600 a month cash flow off those. And keep in mind, we're still consistently wholesaling properties from time to time when the numbers don't work for us. But most of my focus is definitely in rental properties now.
Wow. So just for everyone, listen, how much money in assignment fees did you make before you started transferring over to some of the bigger rental stuff?
Yeah, so I just got my returns back for 21. We did 140K gross. Now, obviously, you have some expenses to that, but I say in 21, I did my first deal. What was that? April of 21, and then I did my second deal about June. The second deal I did was a JV with the same exact company that I did with the first one. And what I was doing there was I was networking with a different wholesale company. I was building a relationship with these buyers. They had access to, a huge list of buyers. So once we sold that property to the buyer, I reached out to them and I got connected with them. And that's how I actually found my partner in real estate.
Wow.
So, on your first deal, I believe JVing is very important because, they can show you the ropes. I just think it's the best way to, if you can't sell your first deal, obviously try on your own, but worst comes to worst, approach another wholesale company.
Completely agree. So what are your top tips for finding somebody to JV a deal with? Because obviously the wrong person is going to screw the deal.
Sure.
And the right person is going to be good. So How would you tell somebody brand new? It's kind of hard to figure out sometimes, right? Brand new. Like,
Oh
what's
yeah,
your
for sure. And that's almost like a learning lesson. And that's a part of taking risk in wholesaling. You want to be careful with who you JV with, but you should really understand the person who you're working with, and how you can build a relationship with them.
I agree. I'm just, it all comes down to reputation, I've always seen. And
Yep,
obviously that
exactly.
JV partner, you've worked pretty well. So like,
Yeah.
obviously they do it. I just, a lot of people get approached from like an 18-year-old, 17-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And I know you're
Yeah.
20, I'm 22, but like, you got to go to someone reputable. Like I could go to
Right.
you now, JV with you, but you've done some deals, right?
Yeah.
I think that's important. So like, for example, everyone, like Sullivan ain't on here just because he just gave me a quick message. He had to send me the HUD. He had to show me the whole thing, show his proof,
Yeah.
because 90% of the 20-year-olds out here, all fake, all
Yeah.
fake. They don't do anything for real. Sullivan shows it, posted some awesome stuff in the group. So
Yeah.
we can have him on and talk.
I
But
think I think that's another thing too, Zach, is reputation. Check the company out on Google, just see what the reviews are like. And then also back then, that was a little over a year ago, about a year and 6 months on my first deal. The market isn't as saturated as it is now with wholesalers. I believe it's gotten a lot more competitive. So I get messages all the time in my messenger. Hey, you want a JV? Hey, I got tons of buyers. I'm like, look, man, you don't have much reputation. How can I trust you? Stick to the bigger companies on your first deal. Don't trust someone on Facebook. Meet them in person. Get to know them. Yeah,
I agree 100% there. So you're doing that. You're doing the rentals, doing all this stuff. Like, how are you creating that cash flow right now with some of those arbitrages? Like, are you just getting private money coming here and buy those properties? Like, who's footing the bill?
So on the arbitrage model, you're just subleasing the property. So it was a risk I took. I applied for this gold Amex card and I got approved, and that allowed me to furnish the property with no money down.
Okay.
But yeah, so I pay this guy $1,000 a month, and we're pulling in like 2,100. So after expenses, I make about 1,000 off that property. But on some of the other rental properties we own, we stuck to the cash out refi method. We had a private lender who had a great relationship with my partner, who would put up 100% of the purchase price and repairs. So basically anything we asked for, he would give it to us. And obviously we ran the numbers. We, had a relationship with a credit union. They would come in once the property was renovated, appraise it, give us 85% LTV. We pull our cash out, we rinse and repeat. So actually all the properties I've acquired are with no money down. I haven't bought, I haven't put up any of my own money on really any of these properties, except for my marketing cost with wholesaling. That's about it. My VA cost.
So how do you determine right now when you get a deal sent in, if it's going to be rented, if it's going to be Airbnb it, or it's going to be wholesaled? What's your determining factor on that?
So in Roanoke, Airbnb is very, niche marketed towards travel nurses. So anything close to the hospital, I'm going to look at with Airbnb, because I think that's really the only way to, be profitable with Airbnb. If you have constant demand, you're going to stay rented. So, if I found a property 10 miles away from the hospital, it just doesn't even come to mind that I'm going to Airbnb it, because Roanoke is a small town. And like I said, travel nurses are the only way to make Airbnbs profitable, really, in Roanoke. So obviously with Airbnbs, if it's close to the hospital, I'm going to look at on a Airbnb base. Anything else, though, we don't really flip properties much. If I'm going to flip something, I'm just going to wholesale it. So, but with rental properties, we run our numbers. We make sure it cash flows. We make sure it's in an appreciating area. It's really not hard at all to determine once you get comfortable with your own market. And I'm sure, Zach, you've gotten comfortable with your home market. You look at a property, you know what it's worth just by looking.
Well, let me give you an example. If you have a property right now, Roanoke, 10, 15 miles from a hospital, right? You could probably get a cap rate of 12% on it.
Okay.
Maybe 15, 16% cash on cash, even 20, but expenses might be higher. Or you can make 25, 30K on the assignment fee. Which one are you going to take?
Right now in my current position, I'd wholesale it
Really?
because, yeah, we're looking at deals way better than that. I mean, we're looking at deals with 25% caps. Um,
Wow.
so, I mean, and we just closed on this mobile home park, which is 28 units, which is going to be a bear to renovate. But, um, once that's all said and done, I mean, that's going to appreciate a lot. It's worth a lot more than what we bought it for. So, um, yeah, I mean, with rental properties, I'm sourcing some pretty good leads, and I don't charge a wholesaling fee for our company, so the price I get it under contract for is the price we buy it for.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
but that's another tactic to create cash at closing, and I've done this a few times to our company. I've wholesaled the property to our company, and then at closing, I receive a check. So there's a few ways to create cash with real estate, but I think rental properties are the way for sure.
Wow. Okay. So 25% on the mobile homes, about single family, or is it mostly just mobile homes right now?
Yeah, they're all mobile homes. So
Wow.
there's 28 pads, and there's about 25 trailers in there now. Only about 6 people are paying rent.
Yeah.
So we have to, evict most of those people and then tear down the trailers because they're not roadworthy. So
Yeah.
it's a huge project, but I'm stoked for it. It's, I've never dealt with something like this. So it's a learning curve for me, but that's the only way you're going to learn is by taking action. So, yeah, that's gonna, you know,
Beautiful. How did you find that deal?
so, So, like I said, with me getting started in real estate beforehand, I was buying and selling a lot of things like, campers, couches, etc. And so I came across this mobile home, and how I came across this mobile home is I have Craigslist alerts on. So when something is posted that I would consider buying to make money on, it sends me a notification instantly. And I got this email from Craigslist saying a mobile home was listed for sale for $8,000. And I went and looked at it, and the owner of the trailer was the sister of the owner, and they were about 85 years old. I went over there, met her, gave her cash for the mobile home, and then I had to, talk to the owner about a few things. I had to ask him about, can we get a lease? How do I, where do I pick up my mail? Stuff like that. So I started asking him, a few questions, and meanwhile I'm building rapport with him. And a week later, I asked, do you want to sell this property? He said, maybe. You know how old people are; they want to take forever with selling their property. So about a month later, I met him at the park. We got it under contract for 250,000. And we got that under contract late March, and we just closed on it yesterday. No money down, seller finance for a year, no prepayment penalty, no interest, principal only payments. So hopefully within a year we can stabilize it, go to the bank, get permanent financing on it, and do the cash out refinance.
That's beautiful, man. That's pretty good. What interest rate are you looking for that, you think?
So we've talked to a few banks, and within a year, I don't know what interest rates are going to be like, but if we can get something below 7%, we'll be satisfied. And the numbers work. The numbers would work with 12%. 28 units producing probably $400 in lot rent. Those are pretty good numbers on a $250,000 investment. So
Wow, that's gonna be fun, man. I own a lot of mobile homes. They're fun.
yeah, mobile homes are cash cows. I mean, They really are. They rent good. I've had a few problems with them as far as maintenance goes, but I mean that's with anything.
Last most important part here, who's managing those things?
So me and my partner took on a property manager probably 3 months ago, and they've been managing all of our properties. So we own 34 residential units, and then we bought a 28 unit mobile home park. So in total, we have 62 units, and we plan on putting the mobile home park under management. But for now, we're just kind of going to manage it ourselves since it's not producing much income. But we have a property manager that manages our 34 units.
Wow, man. So in total, how much do you think currently right now, once you get the mobile home, are you going to be cash flowing basically a month?
I mean, in total, between our two companies, roughly 25,000 cash flow split
Beautiful, man.
between two people. So about 12.5 each. It's going to take about a year and a half to get all of our properties stabilized because, we bought 10 properties on an owner finance from this, from this individual, and the properties are pretty messed up. So we're going through evictions, renovations, trying to get everything stabilized. It's been pretty hectic, but I enjoy it. So
I love it, man. Every single person I ever talked to that owns a lot of rental properties, I can always say it's not a passive income, but it's pretty close to passive if you make it right. But
yeah,
it definitely takes work, but it's good,
it
man.
takes good management for sure. I mean, beforehand, I was managing all of our properties, and I just got wore out. I mean, especially dealing with the lower demographic areas. People are calling you left and right about stupid things, and I just got tired of it. We hired a property manager, and they've been great. And we got that property manager from a cash buyer I work with, who I built a wonderful relationship with, and she manages all of about 70 properties he owns. So they're a big management company in Roanoke, and they do wonderful.
Beautiful, man. Sullivan, this has been absolutely amazing, dude. I have one last question for you before we hop off. If you had to start over again and you had to tell somebody how to get started in all this business, how to get your first real estate wholesaling deal, what would your best advice for them be?
If I got started, a year and a half ago, I would do the same thing I did, but I would focus more on building relationships with investors, because I believe that's the most valuable part in real estate, is networking with other individuals who are in real estate. And the amount of value that they have brought to me has been insane. I wouldn't have been able to buy the 34 units without building a relationship with my partner, and that's what it all stems down to, is me taking action, as a young teenager, and going to real estate meetups, meeting all the investors in the area, getting to know them, networking with realtors. I mean, just network, and you'll do great in real estate. More people the more resources you have.
Oh, yeah. Hands down, man. So I really appreciate it, man. This has been an awesome podcast, really inspirational for a lot of young people on here.
Yeah.
What are your parting thoughts and advice for everyone watching this?
What's that?
What are your parting thoughts and advice for everyone watching?
I think everyone who's watching should set a goal to take action in real estate. So whether it be finding 50 properties a week, driving for dollars, or making 10 phone calls a day, set a goal and crush it every time. I set many goals for 21, and I crushed all of them. I set weekly goals for myself. I always crush them, and always set them higher than what you think you can do. You have more potential than you think. Take action. You're going to do wonderful.
I agree, man. Bill Gates always says you overestimate what you can do in the short term, but you always underestimate what you can do in the long term. And I truly believe You are definitely on your way to success. So, Sullivan, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Make sure you guys smash that like button and subscribe. Check out Sullivan on Facebook, and we'll see you soon. Have a blessed one, guys.
Thanks, Zach.